Tell me one thing. Do you ever feel unconfident? Well, not in terms of life, but in terms of speaking in English. And especially when you are required to talk in public. Have you ever felt how embarrassing it feels and how your mind goes blank and then you see your confidence weighing down? How does it happen? Why does it happen? I'm pretty sure you must be dwelling upon these sort of questions every now and then. Especially I have tackled and collided with such situations every now and then. So, listen to me to find out the answers to these questions, and I will also tell you some of the solutions that I personally have procured to help myself out. How can I overcome these problems? Because these are the challenges that always, keeps my performances below the average line. I want to perform better. I want to shine brighter, but these are the factors and elements which kind of act like restraints in my life and brings my confidence down. Let me walk you through some of the reasons as to what hinders your confidence and why do you feel unconfident. And shortly, I will also walk you through some of the solutions as to what you could do to overcome this problem. Well, this is not of a disease, it's barely a challenge and that can be tackled easily. Let us come to the first reason as to why do we feel unconfident while speaking in English. I personally feel that is lack of warm-up. Considering that you have been occupied with something else and all of a sudden you are brought in a situation to speak in English instantly with someone, this is quite obvious that you're not going to talk as fluent as you are personally, as you are. It is not because your fluency has, gone down heels. It's just that you have not been in touch with English for so long, isn't it? So that's pretty simple. Before participating or before presenting yourself in English, you have this thing in your mind that when you are required to speak. So you have to prepare, you have to make up your mind. You have to mindfully give yourself some time to warm up before you actually go and perform. Now let us come down to the second reason behind our hindrance of confidence. Well, the second reason behind feeling unconfident is being unaware of the matter or the topic. How many times it has happened that you have been asked a question but you did not know what the answer was? Well, it had been so hard to feel. I can understand that. Very now and then I get asked some of the questions which I feel is beyond my ability to answer. And that is when I feel the most unconfident person. Well, that's not a challenging thing. What you do not know can be learned. Simply give yourself space. Don't beat yourself for that. Let us come down to the third thing. My third reason that makes me unconfident, that is comparison. During the journey of English language, I've met many fluent speakers. I've come across a lot of brilliant fluent talkers who talked about almost everything, and I used to often compare myself ki, why am I not good as them? Why could I not speak smoothly as they are speaking? So it used to be always so hard for me. I always had this language to tackle with, and now I'm also putting myself on the stake of this comparison. So if you feel unconfident, maybe comparison could be one of those causes. Let's come down to the fourth thing. Now, my fourth point over here is very much, unimagining. Like, you must not have imagined this also can hinder your confidence. Many of us try to speak to impress people. Last time when you talked to your elders or talked to a group of people, did you try to impress them? Did you think that my presentation, my speaking, my speech should have, should have to be so good? Of course, you must have tried to perform elegantly. But this is one of the major elements that always weighs your confidence down. You try to impress people. You open your mouth to impress others. And as long as, what happens while you try to speak in English and impress at the same time? You already have the pressure of speaking English. Upon that, you just intensify the performance anxiety. What I mean to say here is when you're trying to impress a group of people, your half of your attention is to impress them. And only half of your impression is to performance, which means you're dividing your attention. Either you have to do one task at a time, just be focused to what you're saying, or you can just be simply focusing at impressing people. Do one thing at a time. Now let us come down to the fifth thing that I believe hinders my confidence, that is being skeptical about my own notions, about my own ideas. I believe that what I'm bringing on the table is not worthful. Maybe people may not value my opinions. Maybe what I'm bringing to the table doesn't make sense. It may not do a value addition. Well, now think of yourself. If you don't believe in your ideas, why will people do? Before having faith in your own ideas, what you're bringing to the table, how can you expect others to value it? First of all, every battle starts from you, and you have to start by believing in your ideas before you put into practicality. Now, these were some of the following reasons as to what hinders your confidence and why do you feel unconfident while talking. Let me now walk you through some of the solutions. What could you do? Right? Walk you through some of the solutions as to how can you make use of these solutions and to help yourself prevent being unconfident. How could you do that? Pay attention to my 5 points that I've brought to you, and these are very factful. It has helped me dramatically to boost my confidence amidst a lot of adversity. So my first point is keep yourself surrounded with English environment. Now, what do I mean by that? Let me take you back to the first region, which I told you guys that it might hinder your confidence, and that was lack of warm up, right? You cannot be always engaged in English conversations to be warmed up already. You never know when you could be required to speak in English. So the best way to deal with such spontaneous situation is to be always connected indirectly or directly with English environment. How could you do that? I have a very few points, such as listening, writing, reading, and speaking. You can be doing it 24/7. You can be speaking for a few hours, learning, writing for a few hours, reading something for a few hours, and hence you can always be in touch with English environment. Let me come to the second solution. What you could do is don't compare yourself with anyone. Like I said in the reason, that comparison always weighs your confidence down. When you're comparing yourself, in some way or the other, you are disrespecting. You're perhaps not wanting to. You perhaps not validating your own worth. You are letting others be more superior than you. This is quite ridiculous. So the solution to this is don't compare. If someone is better than you, it is because they have worked for it. It is because of their skills. It is because of their practice, their excellence. So you are yet to become that, right? See, being inspired by someone who's good than you is not a bad thing. But not accepting the way you are and only dwelling upon things that are better, it is somewhere ridiculous. Because you're not instantly going to turn into that person, because that person whom you're considering to be good than you has put more time, has put in more hard work, must have done a lot of practice than you. And while comparing yourself with another speaker, make sure you compare the duration of time you both have put into learn this language. I often see people comparing themselves with me, and even I compare myself with others. What I come to understand that they simply compare the way of speaking. They don't compare the amount of time and energy it requires. So I want you to compare the time. Now let's come down to the third thing, that is, you don't have to compare yourself with others. You have to compare yourself with your past. Are you still the same guy which you were yesterday? Well, that might sound a little motivational, but I'm talking in relation with English. In respect to learning English, if you could not speak this sentence yesterday, could you speak it today? If you did not know this vocabulary yesterday, are you being able to put into practice today? That what justifies your comparison. That is the positive comparison. It's very constructive comparison. Comparison is not always bad. Constructive comparisons are very much helpful. Let us come down to the fourth point, and that is go slow. When you feel unconfident in public, just take a deep breath and just speak slowly. Sometimes have to reduce the volume of yours. Be bold. Your confidence is reflected by your boldness, by your bluntness of your voice, but you have to go a little slow. Just take a deep breath, relax, and then speak slowly. While speaking slowly, you'll be able to give more time to your mind to think of sentences. You can make use of better set of words. And not just that, most of the people relate fluency with being so fast. But in my perspective, fluency refers to being smooth, speaking with understanding, and being audible enough. An uninterrupted way of speaking, consistent way of speaking is called fluency. So make sure you maintain that. Don't be just fall in the trap of like rapidness and speedness. Fluency has nothing to do with your speed. It's all about your smoothness and understanding. Now, my fifth point, and perhaps the last one for this session, is have the knowledge. This is the only idea that I could tell. Just have the knowledge, guys. You must have knowledge of what you're going to talk about. If I talk about Chandrayaan 3, only those people could talk over it who has an insight about it. If I asked you when was the time when Chandrayaan was launched from India, well, which date was it when Chandrayaan landed on the surface of moon? On which side of moon did Chandrayaan land on moon? So these the question can be answered by that person who has the meticulous knowledge and detail about it. And it has nothing to do with the fluency yet again. Say for example, I'm very much fluent, considering that fluent, and I don't know anything about a rocket. What is a rocket? What fuel does it use? How does a plane fly? I have no knowledge about certain topics. Then I will be simply voiceless because I nothing have to say. I don't want to beat around the bush. I'll simply cut the crap and tell to the person I don't know. Will that mean that I'm not confident? Will that mean that I am not a fluent speaker? No, guys. This is where you make mistake, right? Your knowledge is important to be fluent. Well, with that being said, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have come towards the end of the topic. And I congratulate those who have. And I'll see you in the next video.